Hello everyone, welcome back into Crypto's News. It is me, Omar Bam, aka Crypto, here to give you guys the deets on what is going on in the crypto streets. It's a pleasure to have you back. Remember to subscribe if you want to be notified when we're live. Also hit that bell icon and make sure you hit notify all for the channel. And we are going to be doing a cover up of where we're at right now in crypto this week. Try to get these out weekly. And yeah, happy Friday, guys. Hope you're doing well. As you've probably noticed, crypto has kind of taken a step back here. It looked like the market was ready to propel higher, and it had been last week, and we faltered a bit as we started off this week. Actually, more around midweek, we got really a growing concern around tariffs that are being implemented again and spoken about. We also had interest rates come out and remain unchanged at a more elevated level than the market would like to see if they're going to be risk hungry, right? So anyway, as we start off our week, our week rather here, we actually have a lot to look forward to as we head into September. So we're going to be looking at that and plenty more, guys. Nice to have you back. What's up, Dream Catchers? What's up, Crypto Mahu? Nice to see you guys. Hope you're doing really, really well, guys. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. It's going to be short, brief, and I think hopefully insightful for where we're at here. So let's start off by looking at the website coingecko.com to see what's going on with the market caps. We're actually down quite a bit today overall for crypto. We're down 7.8% on all market caps. So at $3.765 trillion. ETH dominance has pretty much held up relative to Bitcoin. It's at 11.3%. And Bitcoin is at 59.9%. And on the week, we have Bitcoin down 3%. So not too shabby. It's holding up quite well. It's at $113,238. Ethereum is down marginally marginally more, 3.9% at $3,506.08. So it has still yet to breach that 4,000 level people are looking for. And XRP has dipped below $3. It was up north of $3.16, breaking all-time high recently. Now dropping. We're going to look at that in a little bit, but it's only down 2.8% over the last 7 days. So really not too bad. Solana has had a worse week, along with Dogecoin, Cardano, some others. They're closer to 10% in losses over the last week. So Solana down 10% at $164.16. We have Dogecoin also down 10% at around 20 cents. 0.2045, and we have Cardano down 8.5% to 72 cents, and so on. Yeah, so pretty much an across-the-board sell-off. There are some names that you could be holding, like Toncoin, Luxo, IDEX is one of the top gainers here. Man, I feel like we're back in, what is it, 2017 that I was holding some of these coins? Luxo was a little bit later. I think that was more like 2018, 2019. But wow, what a throwback. I got to start looking at some of these old names making a comeback. What are you guys holding? Are you guys still primarily Bitcoin, ETH, Litecoin, or are you guys getting to riskier plays here? I wonder what you guys are up to. And what kind of indicators, right? It's harder to tell with so much noise out there these days, so many projects, what is relevant, so many press releases on the day, so many mailing newsletters to be on, that it's hard to get a clear signal really on where to not gamble, but I think educatedly invest, right? Anyway, we're going to continue to look at that as we go through here. There's probably going to be some opportunities to be buying some altcoins with these kinds of pullbacks, right? There was all this talk about alt season in the last video that I made that had been coming to the forefront of the conversation. And I actually don't think that's going away just yet. So this could very well be a buying opportunity, not financial advice, but something I think to consider, of course. So part of what's going on here is that interest rates were unchanged. They did not go down. Remember, we had been expecting perhaps an interest rate drop in July. That did not actually pan out. Jerome Powell came out in a more hawkish stance. It seems more like he's almost just trying to feud with Trump, who continues to call for the Fed to drop rates immediately. And tariffs are great. They're bringing in billions of dollars. Just drop the rates and help the people. But what's going on here is Jerome Powell is concerned, of course, that inflation could begin ticking up again, prices ticking up because of these tariffs on imports to the United States. So they've waited. I mean, if he was that concerned, I guess he could get ahead of things and start raising rates, since we know the numbers are fudged anyway, and surely inflation is higher than what's being reported. But anyway, they're staying flat for the most part and not dropping them. That could be changing very soon, though. But what ended up happening was the crypto market kind of reacted negatively, is what's being said in this article here on Finbold. Over $150 billion in market value wiped in one day after interest rates stayed the same. There is room for optimism, however, as we move into September. So this is what I wanted to mention to you guys. And the reason for that has to do with the numbers that we just got on unemployment rates. So we were expecting 100,000 jobs, only got 73,000 non-farm payroll jobs. So quite a bit less than what was expected, almost 25% less than the number that they had been hoping for. Actually, no, look, actually more than that. It was only 73,000, shy of estimates of 110,000. So more than 25% wrong on what they estimated would be these jobs. Also fudged numbers, but it goes to show that perhaps we are in a recession. You're going to hear more about that coming out again. You're right. 2 quarters of negative GDP or lower GDP signifies that we might not be growing very hot and maybe in a recession is a traditional definition for a recession. And I think most commentators out there who take themselves seriously already realize we're probably in a recession. The consumer is hurting right now. And this is the kind of thing that does lead to interest rates dropping. And again, that appetite growing for risk assets such as cryptocurrencies. And what I mean by that also is not just Bitcoin. It's really all coins that benefit when there is this risk appetite. It is the bottom feeding food of the CoinGecko charts, right? The page 2s and page 3s that tend to perform quite well, right? They have a lower market cap, a lower buy-in, potential higher gains, and these tend to do really, really well if risk appetite is on again, which I anticipate could be happening now coming up to September. So if we look at the CME FedWatch tool, the current target rate is 425 to 450 basis points. And you can see that heading into September 17th meeting, so just over a month, 16 days, we have an 87.5% probability of a drop of 25 basis points. So again, beginning to ease. And this is really huge. This is the biggest number that I've seen for an estimate to actually see a rate drop. So it looks like it is in fact going to be coming in September following the release of this unemployment report. And that is probably a good reason to stay on board with cryptocurrencies if you haven't bought everything else, right? If you're just looking for the quick money, you're not believing in the long-term, long tail gains, right? You're in this for the quick buck. This actually could be one of the best buying opportunities, IMO, that we have seen out there. So we also have this. This was reported here on Cointelegraph. It talks about how we're basically just waiting for Bitcoin to breach 120,000. We're still around 113,000, so just 7,000 short of 120,000, where we have this huge potential short liquidation squeeze that could happen. A huge amount of orders there on leverage that are betting that Bitcoin will not breach that level. And if they begin to get liquidated and cascaded, then we could see easily the price rip through that towards 130,000 territory, brand new highs for Bitcoin, and dragging everything else along with it. So more reason for optimism, right? Just if people, there's really no reason for a big drop right now. We just need a little bit of good news, and I could imagine we breach the 120,000 level. So I would be really scared being a short trader right now. It's enough to just be in leverage, let alone short in crypto. Hey, thank you very much, EI. Today was a gift. Yeah, agreed, man. The phony jobs numbers caused a sell-off so the whales could buy. I loaded up on BTC miners today, and good job. I mean, there are opportunities all across the board. I mean, there were never more opportunities. Every single day, it feels like there's new opportunities, because first it was just Bitcoin, then it was this coin. Then eventually we started seeing kind of stocks that were somewhat related to crypto, such as BTC miners eventually. So many of them went public, like Riot. And now we had an opportunity just today because Coinbase stock dropped 18% today. That seems like some sort of gift. Robinhood only dropped like 3.5%, but there are plenty of plays out there whether you're looking to get the actual spot coins, whether you want to risk leverage, do options, whether you want to, you name it, get some stocks. It's never been a more opportune time to get into so many different varied ways to get involved and get exposure to cryptocurrency. So yeah, I would say, in my opinion, and again, not financial advice. I think buying on these dips, especially today, seems like a pretty good bet to me. So another thing that kind of had affected the crypto market that is bleeding perhaps into what we're seeing with the prices reflected today is this White House crypto report that was due by the 30th. So 2 days ago, it was going to be this massive White House report. If you remember when Trump came into office and signed an executive order, it was related to crypto and basically giving the government and his staff 180 days to give him a report on crypto. Potentially even setting up the rules around a national strategic reserve for Bitcoin. So what ended up happening was that this did not really mention a Bitcoin reserve as had been expected by market participants, by many of them who were watching closely. Really, it just talked about multiple aspects of crypto, like it says here, industries such as banking policy, stable coins, recommendations for countering illicit finance, but they neglected to mention the strategic Bitcoin reserve. They did a small mention at the end that just basically reiterated what had been said right in the beginning about it, that it might make sense or something like that. So yeah, I think this disappointed the market. There's a lot of quotes here on Cointelegraph. The White House crypto policy report just came out, said George Bodine. Let me say again, there's been no audit of Fort Knox. Yeah, good luck with that one. There's no official audit of U.S. Bitcoin reserves. They are never going to release the Epstein files. Ignore these pricks and stay focused with laser eyes. So this report did have some useful insight into how they plan to proceed with crypto here. There's going to be 3 phases. We've kind of seen some of this already. Number 1, the demolition phase, where lawmakers get rid of the rules implemented during the administration of former President Joe Biden that was heavily linked to Operation Chokehold 2.0. Just like we had seen certain kinds of businesses that were around certain industries like marijuana start having problems with payment processors, put pressure on by the payment processors and different advocates and groups. We similarly saw with crypto that, for example, the Bank for International Settlements was sending out emails saying, hey, if you engage with crypto bank under our purview, we're not saying you can, we're just saying maybe you shouldn't. Risky, that kind of thing. So they were strong-arming all these banks into not participating, and they're kind of rolling that back. To the construction phase, which we're seeing some of, where lawmakers work with the industry to create laws that would help the industry thrive. And 3, the implementation phase that actually passes the laws. So I'm sure the market is waiting to hear more about a strategic Bitcoin reserve, but on the 30th was not the day that we would be receiving that. Anyway, I think this is really cool. So we have an Ethereum researcher, longtime member of the Ethereum Foundation, Justin Drake, and he has come out to outline a 10-year plan for Ethereum. Here are the bullet points right here that pretty much cover it quite well on blocknews.com. Justin Drake unveiled Lean Ethereum, a 10-year vision to scale Ethereum from, what is it, still like 12 transactions per second, 12 to 15, to 10,000 transactions per second. And this is the cool part to me, on layer 1. And 1 million transactions per second on layer 2, while maintaining full decentralization and 100% uptime. Ethereum has still had 100% uptime since it started, which is remarkable. The plan includes bold upgrades like Beacon Chain 2.0, Ethereum Virtual Machine 2.0, possibly using RISC-V, and quantum-resistant cryptography. So trying to be future-proof here as well. I think it's super crucial because of AI. I mean, that alone is going to make it easier to hack cryptography as we go through the next years, let alone raw computing power, right? Using hash-native ZKVM, so zero-knowledge proofs, and hash-based signatures. Drake framed Lean Ethereum as both technical and philosophical, of course, because it's the Ethereum Foundation, embracing minimalism, modularity, and community diversity as Ethereum enters its second decade. So huge plans here. 1 gigagas a second on layer 1. Wild. And a sushi philosophy. So this is something that he had said. Minimalism, modularity, encapsulated complexity, an art form, a craft. Think Jiro, dreams of sushi, talking about the elegance of this sushi master. So good times. Anyway, it looks like there's going to be plenty to look forward to Ethereum. I still consider a buy myself. And it looks like this may be one of the best times. It's just something I feel sometimes to be getting on board relative to some of the hate that has been going on over the past few years. It feels like it's been 3-4 years, but maybe the time is coming. Ripple may have dropped because of 1 billion XRP that are set to be unlocked tomorrow. So naturally, maybe some newer participants sold off. But yeah, 1 billion sounds like a lot. It's not too much. Right now, there's 59.23 billion XRP in circulation out of 100 billion max supply. And it turns out that usually after these monthly optional releases from Ripple's monthly escrow programs, under which up to 100 billion XRP are released and unlocked each month, usually Ripple relocks 60 to 70% shortly after release. It sounds like some sort of funny games that they're doing. Like, why not just release only 60 to 70%? I mean, like, instead of releasing 160, sounds like some sort of marketing thing, a pump and dump sort of scenario. But anyway, I digress. Leaving only a small portion to support operations or liquidity, including tokenization programs and exchange infrastructure. That means the actual influx into circulating supply typically ranges around 300 to 400 million XRP that get released instead of 1 billion full tokens. So not really much reason to panic. That's probably why it's ticking back up again, would be my assumption. One thing that is not ticking up so much is Ray Dalio's excitement about the economy. So Ray Dalio, 75-year-old billionaire who funded Bridgewater, has apparently sold the last of his stake in Bridgewater Capital after predicting debt collapse, which, yeah, I mean, he's always predicting some sort of debt collapse. But it is notable that he's making real moves that are being tracked right now and waving goodbye to Bridgewater with the last of his stake in that, which is kind of surprising to me. He recommended increasing allocation. He recently increased his recommended allocation to Bitcoin and gold to 15%. Gold actually tipped up nicely on the day. It was up over 1.5%, $3,400, right around its all-time high. So, I mean, this is someone who is really close to central banks, an advisor to them, who has worked in Wall Street longer than most have been around and really understands markets, business cycles, and so on. And he has pretty much, it seems like, really just shifted over to Bitcoin, something he wasn't really excited about before. So I feel like maybe he knows something, and I just wanted to share that with you guys. Anyway, then I just want to finish up with these recommendations. Really cool article here that explains how a police officer stole 50 Bitcoin from a seized crypto wallet and got caught. So this is kind of a newer story, I guess I had not talked about. There was this individual that had his funds confiscated by the UK authorities and the FBI, linked to the Silk Road 2.0 that was launched. So he was arrested, coins were confiscated, and a police officer who was in charge of the investigation basically took 50 Bitcoin that were not worth much at the time, but suddenly exploded in value. He took 50 Bitcoin, tried to make them untraceable, funneling them through something called Bitcoin Fog, which was a Bitcoin mixing service to obfuscate the blockchain forensics, putting money into debit cards, into gift cards, you name it, moving money around. And it looked like he was not going to be found out. Actually, the gentleman who had been arrested and had these funds confiscated by the government had said, I have no access to those funds, when authorities were alerted that the funds were moving around. It's like, I'm not the one moving them. It had to be one of you guys. And sure enough, it was one of them. They did an investigation. They found out it was this individual. He was arrested. After increasingly over the years making bigger and bigger transactions, he was sentenced to 5.5 years in prison, which is nothing, in my opinion, to have potentially gotten millions of dollars because Bitcoin has only climbed in value since he stole it. I mean, the trade-off between having to work, I guess, for 5.5 years to barely scrape $500,000 to potentially having millions and millions of dollars by stealing this money and making it untraceable. I think 5.5 years is probably not enough here. It sets a terrible example, though it's supposed to be some sort of example for gross misconduct, this sort of punishment. He was also let go from the force at the very least, right? Anyway, government steals money from individual. Police officer in government steals money from individual. You think he's going to get that money back? Nah, it's confiscated. It's gone. Anyway, where was I going to finish off here? So then there was a story I reposted from the cryptocurrency subreddit. It's a CNN clip, so I'm not going to play it for copyright reasons, but I also retweeted it on the Cryptos News subreddit. You can check it out for yourself. It's like a 6-minute video that goes into the story of Amaranth, a popular streamer, OnlyFans, a bunch of places, and how she was assaulted. It's crazy. In one of these wrench attacks where someone threatens someone or actually does hit someone with a wrench or some other instrument or gun, whatever, threatens violence on some individual in order to take their crypto holdings. And these attacks are just blowing up more and more. We've been covering them here, talking about how risky it is to be public facing and holding crypto, right? And they actually show the footage of these individuals coming up to her and she was getting pistol whipped. She managed to trick them into believing that she was going to take them to her crypto holdings, but she actually led them to an ambush where her husband was waiting with a gun. He pulls out his gun. He's waiting at the top of the stairs. It's like an action movie. And then she turns a corner. He starts firing through. He's like, get out of the way. She lines up against the wall and then pop, pop, pop. He takes 3 shots, I think it was, hits one dude in the waist, and you just see them running off. All this is on footage into the street. And one of them is yelling, I think I got shot. And then she installs 12-foot high. Sounds like Jeff Bezos, but I think he's got like 20-foot, 50-foot high hedges. But she installed a 12-foot high wall with barbed wire around it and hired a private security force. So yeah, I think, and also these individuals were caught and arrested and prosecuted and so on. But again, I think this is somehow setting a good example that trying to steal crypto will inevitably lead to you getting caught more often than not. We live in a surveillance state. Everyone around me has nests. I see them everywhere. Everything's on footage. You got license plate readers. We have a friggin' national government for citizens being done by Palantir out there. So at least in this kind of instance, crime doesn't seem like it's going to pay. While you may think Bitcoin is anonymous, it's actually pseudonymous and quite easy to track by the day. So anyway, just stay safe out there. You wouldn't want to brag about your crypto holdings is what I want to say. If you feel like you've done really well, I wouldn't recommend it. I got held up at gunpoint myself. Some of you might remember back in Vegas. Quite scary. Luckily, nothing happened there, but just stay safe out there. Bragging to feel cool and whatever is not an excuse to be like, yeah, I just want to show them that crypto can make you money. So let me go ahead and cash out $300 bills and go on Instagram and be like, look what XRP got me, guys. You know, it's not worth it. Anyways, I'll finish off with that. You can check out the video again on Cryptos News. Thank you guys for joining me today. I do have to head out. Sorry if I didn't get a chance to engage much with the chat. I will try to next week more, but I'm on a crunch today. Let's go. What's up, Rabbit Whale? Good to see you here. Good to see you, Mark. I hope you're doing well. And Blitz X, yeah, Zcash privacy is up there when it comes to being king. Yeah, Monero, Zcash. There's some good names out there. Probably, it would be scary to be like, I have so much in Zcash. I have so much in Monero, because if you get robbed, those attackers might not be linked to the movements because those can be a lot harder to trace. But anyway, that's the dangers of holding those, I guess, versus something like Bitcoin that you can more easily track. Anyways, here's our quote of the day by George Bernard Shaw, playwright, author of Candida and many other works. A life spent making mistakes is not only more honorable, but more useful than a life spent doing nothing. Make mistakes, guys. Buy that XRP right now. I'm kidding. Take care. Much love. And no, but if you want to, go ahead. You know, not that I'm dissing XRP. I love you guys. Stay cryptic. Peace.